a team that functions to a high level with the ball, and they're a team that functions with a very high level in the counter-pressing moments of football matches. Their ability to win the ball back immediately after they lose it. Anybody that's done any sort of research on the Guardiola teams and the sort of 3, 5, 6 second rule in terms of when you lose the ball, how quickly can you win it back because you're just so hungry to be on the ball. That's what this Barcelona team do. They almost suffocate you, and they have the ability to make you suffer in your own box, push you into places you don't want to be in. Arsenal set up in a 4-2-3-1. The wingers, which I anticipate will be Caitlin Ford and Chloe Kelly, will end up being in those wing-back areas a lot of the game, and they have to be comfortable with that. And that's what Barcelona do. They make you suffer. And what Arsenal need to do tonight is they need to get up the pitch and they need to find a way to progress the ball and keep it there. But this Barcelona team, listen, they've got a manager who's taken over, from being assistant manager to take over the head coach role, that's come through the academy system at Barcelona. They know what they're doing. Their methodology is incredible. And either way, I think we've got two formidable teams going at it today in the Champions League final, and we're very lucky to be here to watch.
Izzy, have a wonderful time. We'll speak to you much more, of course, before kick-off, but enjoy that beautiful stadium.
Thank you, guys.
Lovely. Izzy Christiansen with us on 5 Live. Julian Aron and Nadia Munir staying with us. Going to talk much more football. We'll do Premier League final day. We'll do a bit of Scottish Cup final, bit of Champions.
And I thought you're fantastic, and I really enjoyed that. And you're now part of Only Fools and Horses folklore, history. You were in that in the theatre. Incredible to be part of something that's so brilliantly British and so loved as well, yeah?
Well, I mean, that's why I did it. Paul Whitehouse, I had a good chat with him. He talked me into it. And we done the Christmas spell, but we did something pretty unique. We took over the Hammersmith Apollo, and there were 7,000 people every day. We packed it out, sold it out, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I mean, we've done 28 shows in 30 days, something like that, over Christmas, and it was just magnificent. I had more nerves opening day there, I swear to you, than walking out here against Liverpool in '88. I was shaking like a leaf on opening night.
Well, it went well. It went well, and yeah, we'll see what's on the horizon. We're on the Gentleman now. I'm full blast every day, and yeah, good to be back with Mr. Ritchie, and Theo's doing great. Theo James. There's another twist this year. There's a bit of Italian mafia involved we've got to deal with. So no spoilers.
Yeah, but it's typical Guy Ritchie. I think this season will be better than last.
Brilliant stuff, Eddie. Thank you so much for taking time and delivering an important message as well.
It's a massive, important message, and Tom will be the first to tell you that.
Yeah, Tom, listen, it's good to see you looking so good, and maybe see you back out on the pitch soon, yeah?
Hey, you never know.
No problem at all. Tom Lockyer and Vinnie Jones with us live on TalkSport pitchside at Wembley. Our chief football correspondent Alex Cook is with a man who's won 2 promotions from the Championship with one of these clubs. Alex.
Yes, I'm here with Sheffield United legend Billy Sharp. Obviously, you know what it takes to take this team into the Premier League, but how does it feel today, watching as a fan, as opposed to actually being able to influence the results?
Yeah, more nervous today than I ever was as a player. As the build-up's been happening all week and travelling down and then finally getting here, and as closer as it gets, I'm getting more nervous. So, like you said, I've got no control of today, so watching on as a fan and really hoping that Sheffield United can get over the line today.
How impressed were you with the way that your old club managed to dust themselves down after not going up automatically, having spent a lot more time in the top 2 than Burnley did, to absolutely breeze past Bristol City? And how much confidence does that give you that they can get it done today?
Yeah, I think with not having the heartbreak of not going up, say on the last day of the season, when they wouldn't have had time to recover, it looked like the lads had got round each other and said, we've had such a fantastic season, let's go now, 3 more games to try and get promoted. And like you've said, the 2 legs against Bristol, they were absolutely superb. 2 3-0 wins, really professional, and looks like they had a lot of confidence. So hopefully they can bring them goals and that confidence into today. And like I said, 90 minutes to try and, or whatever it takes, to get over the line and get back to the Premier League.
It's going to be a very emotional occasion. A lot of people will be thinking about George Baldock this afternoon. Will Chris Wilder be telling his players go out there and do it for George?
Yeah, I think they've all got that mentality in them. I've been lucky enough to go in the changing room and see the kit men, and his shirt's up in there, so he'll be with us today, and hopefully the boys can get that done for him as well.
Are you expecting a tight and cagey affair often these player finals are?
Yeah, I think it will be. Just the way that Sunderland play, got so much energy on the counter. I think they will try and bring United on, and hopefully United can get the first goal, because I think that's going to be very important.
What about Chris Wilder's big game experience? How much of a bonus is that going to be?
Yeah, he's got the promotions, but he's never done this one, so this is to complete the set, and I know he's going to be absolutely chomping at the bit to get this game going, and he'll have the boys fired up. He'll enjoy every single minute, kick every ball, and hopefully the fans will be right behind him and the boys, and they'll get to celebrate at Wembley and get promotion.
Who's your idea of the match winner this afternoon?
I think Gus Harmer will get the winner. He's such an influence going forward, Sheffield United, driving at defences, and he's the one who can open it up, you know, with an assist or a strike from distance, which I'm sure he's been going to bed dreaming about, and yeah, I think he'll get the match winner.
Thanks, Julius. There you go, Billy Sharp, who's just helped another South Yorkshire side, Doncaster, win the League 2 title. And the League 2 playoff final Monday will be live on TalkSport 2 as Wimbledon take on Walsall. League 1 at 1 on TalkSport 2 tomorrow as Charlton take on Orient. We're pitchside at Wembley right now, ahead of a 3 kickoff live on TalkSport. Championship playoff final, Sunderland take on Sheffield United.
EFL Live on TalkSport with McDonald's. Enjoy a tasty night in delivered to your door with McDelivery. 18 plus participating restaurants. Delivery fees and terms apply. See mcdonalds.com.
Hey Harry. Hello mate. Got any tips for the football? Your best bet is to head over to BetVictor. They're giving new customers a terrific welcome offer. If you bet a minimum of £10, they'll give you £30 in free bets. Oh, that's a steal of a deal. It's a good darn deal that'll make you squeal for real. Neil? My name's not Neil. I know, but it rhymes. Listen to Harry. Make your best bet on the football at BetVictor. 18 plus, opt in and bet on any football marketing odds of Edens or greater. No cash out, 7-day expiry terms and conditions apply. Gambleware.org.
You want to claim for mis-sold car finance, but where do you start? Put mycarloanclaims.co.uk in the driving seat. We've created a fast and easy process to find out if you could be owed compensation. For more information on our no-win, no-fee service, text DRIVE to 60777. That's DRIVE to 60777. mycarloanclaims.co.uk is a trading style of a law firm, an SRA-regulated law firm.
Here we are, a couple of pints. Great. Echo, yeah, as requested. So, what did you get up to this weekend?
Well, funny story actually. I befriended this panda, discovered he had a beautiful singing voice. Taught him how to harmonise. We got a record deal, went on tour, went platinum in Basingstoke, then broke up due to creative differences.
Right.
So that's what is a panda giving you the thing.
Race down to your nearest Toyota centre. Up to an extra £1,000 on a new Toyota.
Steady, go! Rivet Range is in little stores now. And with West, you can grab a running backpack for just £11.99.
Sport karting, the UK's average. What a hit!
The champion.
Yeah. You still remember that save? Very vividly. Yeah, I remember very, very well. 52 years ago, but, you know, people still talk about it now, and, you know, hopefully it's the same result today. Marcus, come here. Marcus is your grandson. How many times has Grandad shown you the video? I've seen it 30 times, yeah, but I'm just very proud every time I see it. Today would be massively special to both of you to get promoted. Does your goalkeeper have to do what you have to do, those sort of heroics? Yeah, hopefully we'll just said to one of the press men yesterday that, you know, he said about the panel, and I just hope he's got nothing to do whatsoever. But if he has something to do, he's more than capable. Finally, Marcus, how are you going to keep Grandad from getting too excited? Oh, I'm just going to have to cover his eyes with my hands like that. Do you go everywhere with him? Yeah, every home game. Go to the game with him. Love it every time. Good luck to you, and by the way, absolute privilege speaking to you, Jimmy. Pleasure, mate. Pleasure. Thank you. There you go, Jim Montgomery as well, and Mickey, you'll know this, the save, double save, Wembley in 1973. I said actually, to be part of the playoffs, because they named the stand after him, I think. There's a the people who hadn't seen those saves, they needed to Arsenal, but he will be the man tasked with taking them back to the promised land, as Russell Martin did in this fixture last season. He's here to quit his job on to the end of the French season, so that was a relatively straightforward deal for Southampton to do. Very, very, very good. From Ramsdale, the radar of West Ham. I think we'll find himself back in the Premier League. So, for your first to Russell Martin, and again, I'm stood next to our producer who's a football, who's a big Leicester fan. That's a tough job as well. They're going to get a points deduction. They probably won't lose as many at Southampton because their players aren't very good. But it's a tall order playing Russell Martin. If he does go there, they've got someone who's been there, got the t-shirt, and no chance to win promotion. And Darren has King Drive on tour. Will still to Southampton, listen, any appointment's a risk. That feels like maybe a little bit more risky than most because he's not had any English experience. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, what is it? So not of them is very, very good. To do so. I quite like it. I mean, I thought it was quite risky to switch to Martin beforehand, but I think this one here. What can you say? Leicester ended it really badly. So he knows what to do. He's been there. His style. Was his club good enough when he went into the Premier League to play that way? This is your big way because he totally believes in total football, playing out from the back. So I'm sure Leicester fans are a bit beyond him. Wonderful club. I couldn't do it for him. I'm sure. What's the one? We shall see on that one. I'm going to bring you it to your first one. Will Still at Southampton, Russell Martin at Leicester. If and when they are appointed, we'll bring you that news. But let's go fastest here. On TalkSport, Russell Martin won this game with Southampton against Leeds last year. Championship round final with side at Wembley on TalkSport. EFL Live on Talk. For all the fans, first fans or neutral fans, who say like he won a trophy, he deserves another season, he's earned the right to stay. Sporting directors, CEOs, owners don't reflect like that. I mean, you analyze the season not just on one game or on the semi-final and the final of the FA Cup and Europa League, what you do it over the whole season. But when before this incredible high of winning the Europa League, it's a great trophy. Well done to Ange Postecoglou and his players. They got there eventually. The famous mic drop of I always win something in second season. Okay, you did it. I felt he pushed it a little bit yesterday and we said, you know, in your favorite TV series, the third season is always better than the second season. One, this is not true. And two,
well, isn't it?
I'm not sure it is, yeah.
Have you seen The Wire? The Wire season 3, man. That is something.
But I'm not sure it's better than the season 2, though.
It so is better than season 2. But I agree with you in the round.
But, you know, and I just don't push it too much, Ange. Especially when you're not sure that you're going to be there next season. So this is a whole process. It's not just, oh, you won the Europa League, great, because we saw with Ten Hag, you're right, Stevie. It was, they kept him, they didn't want to keep him, but they kept him because they could not get the guys that they wanted instead of him. Roberto Di Matteo, we can go down a lot of lists of managers who want something. Some said, and that was not a good idea, and some want something and didn't say either. So they are right now at Spurs. But trust me, they did it before the Europa League final. Already before they looked at the season, they looked back at the season and looked at what went wrong. And there was a lot of things that went wrong, really. And that's why I'm not surprised if he doesn't stay.
Nathan?
Yeah, so for me, I would Postecoglou and the board and so on to sit down together and really talk in depth about this season and hear the manager's perspective about what he thinks has gone wrong, the stuff which he was responsible for, which was out of his control. And then really, like, yeah, if Ange wants to say that is, like, sell the vision of why he should be there next season and what he thinks their expectations are going to be. Because usually, like you guys were just talking then about the board looking at the season, well, Ange and these players, one thing that we've seen in weeks is the players are right behind him. So we don't necessarily know the ins and outs of like what's going right and wrong for them from their perspective on a day-to-day basis. And I think if a new guy was to come in, you know, they'd probably have to speak to the board and say what they think they can do next season anyway. So I think if Ange is realistic enough to really express the detail, like the real details that have explained this season in itself, then I think there's still enough time to trust him to enter the next season and to not expect this sort of an abomination of a season to happen again. Because again, on that Talk Devils podcast, I think they said this was going to be their worst season in 132 years or something like that, until they lifted up for a European trophy. Now they're in the Champions League. So yeah, I want to see them talk together cohesively and then make a decision whether they believe in what he's saying or not. because to be fair, from board level, all you can do is watch the games. When you get down to the manager, you can have real discussions about day-to-day things, which they don't get to see very often.
You know, Jules, one of the things I think is interesting, and I've done it straight away, done the Ten Hag comparison, like without even thinking about it. If it hadn't have been for Manchester United winning the FA Cup and sticking with Ten Hag, and then Ten Hag being sacked, I almost think this wouldn't be such a discussion. Because that happened, people are now saying, but look at what happened to Manchester United. I'm not sure they're all that comparable as clubs, are they?
You're right, yeah. No, and it's all about context anyway.
Yes.
You know, very different. And Ten Hag didn't finish 17th either.
Yeah.
Which really also, I think had he finished 17th last season, and even with that FA Cup win against City, then it would have been gone. But again, they wanted to not have him the following season. But there's two things with Ange. One, there were tension with players, of course, because there was a point where he refused to change. He was so stubborn, and he said it many, many times. This is what we're going to do. As long as I'm here, we're never going to change. We're never going to tweak what we do tactically, everything like that. And some players didn't understand it at all. And credit to Ange, and you know I've been quite critical of Ange because there was a lot of things I didn't understand. But he finally changed it, and that's also why they won this Europa League, right? But there's another thing, and I think he knows it himself, because he said after the final he hasn't spoken to the boards, to the people above him. There's been no conversation. You cannot be at the end of May and not having spoken to the people above you, simply in terms of what the summer looks like, what you're going to do, season, the recruitment, all of that. If you're not part of those conversations at this point, and trust me, all the others are, from Slot to Arteta to Guardiola, the only ones who are not are the ones who are on their way out, already out, or the ones who want out. And for Ange not to have been in that conversation already, I think it shows right now, I would think, and I was certainly told, that the way it's looking like is that he won't be there next season.
Yeah, but is that not part of the problem as well, though? Because if he's not going to be there next season, then the next guy also isn't part of conversations early as well. So surely that doesn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah, it is next, because if they go for Iraola, they can't speak to Iraola now about what he would do as a Spurs manager in the summer. So the context is different.
So big day of the Premier League, final day, you'll hear it all on 5 Live. Loads of other great football going on this afternoon as well. We've got the Championship playoff final kicking off in just over an hour's time. Sheffield United versus Sunderland for a place in the Premier League. Aaron Paul's at that. Well, is Aaron Paul's at
Yes, Steve.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. You can tell us a bit about Richard Delivery if you want, though, Jules, and the job he's done there.
Yes, and I did a piece for BBC Northeast. I'm sure there's a very special, specific name. As I learned this week, Steve, I learned there was BBC Scotland.
Yes, Scotland, that puts it forward.
Yeah. So Jono, who had me on his show on BBC Scotland, which I won't lie, I didn't know existed until Jono called me and said, could you come on to talk about Wilson and Southampton? But anyway, this is for another time. For Regis Lebret, one, I'm really happy that it's there. As often, and I can't blame you lovely British people for it and English people for it. When Sunderland signed him and recruited him from France, obviously the reaction, and I had a lot of people with a lot of skepticism messaging me on social media, asking me, saying like, who the hell is this guy, right? So I understand, you don't watch really any other leagues than the Premier League or the Championship, and so you don't really know what's going on, especially on the continent. But I felt at the time, this is very interesting. Obviously, the Sunderland owner is Kirill Dreyfus, whose dad, Robert, used to be one of the best businessmen of his generation, the Marseille owner, with highs and lows. And Kirill was a big fan of Regis Lebret. And I think to start with, it's good when your owner is on the same page as your manager. This is a good start, as we just discussed with Postecoglou and Tottenham. And then people were like, who is this guy? Well, I said he ticks a lot of the boxes if you know what Sunderland are about. He's a coach who will coach. And that in the Championship, to go back to the discussion that we've had often with Nathan, is a good thing in the Championship to have a coach that actually coaches, especially young players, especially the likes of Bellingham, Enrique, people like that. He's a coach that has a very good style. And yeah, maybe the man management is not his forte, as we saw when he was when there's a bit of tension in the dressing room. I think he tactically in football terms, he's great. He's a guy from grassroots football. He's a guy from academy football. That's what he loves doing, and he's a guy that then made the step up to first team football with great success because he just had these bright ideas of what he wants, the fluidity, the movement, the counter pressing, all of that. And I just thought that was such a smart choice from Sunderland to have gone for somebody like him, even if nobody in their fan base knew him.
Yeah, he's a very different character, let's put it that way, to Chris Wilde, a bit more of a tough...
At 1 minute after 3 this afternoon, the Blades looking for an instant return to the Premier League after being dumped out of it, finishing bottom last season. Chrissy Wilder's side, however, well, they don't travel well at Wembley, do they, Sheffield United? Winless in their last 4 playoff attempts. The last time they won here, 100 years ago exactly, beating Cardiff City by a goal to nil in the FA Cup final. He says that the players are ultra positive, they're focused and excited as well about going to Wembley and getting the win we are all after. Chris Wilder, however, has also said it's not a place to losers. We certainly know that. It can be a real cauldron of fire, can the National Stadium. And Sunderland, well, they know exactly what it's all about. Reggie Slabreeze looking to end an 8-year hiatus for the Black Cats with regards to Premier League status. We saw it all, didn't we? Deserve to be here at the National Stadium on an overcast day in front of what will be a packed out Wembley crowd.
I know, Tommy, the cliche is it's the best way to go up, but it's also true, isn't it? I know, Tommy, the cliche is it's the best way to go up, but it's also true, isn't it?
Absolutely, from my point of view, 100%, yeah.
A different character, isn't he, to Regis Labreeze? We'll certainly see and hear a lot of Chris Wilder during this game, I reckon.
With this Sheffield United team, and they've missed out on automatic promotion by a matter of, 10 points in the end. They've had a remarkable season and thoroughly deserve to get promoted if they win today.
This is probably a stupid question, and the good thing about it, Nathan, is if it is a stupid question, you'll just tell me. The gap that Tommy was talking about then, I wonder if in the end that was actually a good thing for Sheffield United, rather than missing out on the final day, at the final moment. They've had a little bit of time to reset and get ready for the playoffs.
It's not a stupid question,
but it's close.
Jason, but it's not a stupid question. I get what you're going for. But the fact is that there is still an element of disappointment in there because they would have wanted to go up automatically, obviously. So to see that sort of peter away, and at this point, that sort of gap starts to appear. Like, you're talking 40 games into a season. Like, think about that, an absolute slog. Premier League, 38 games. Championship, you got 40, thinking you get automatically promoted. Then before you know it, you're 10 points behind. But as Tommy was saying, and as you said, like, promotion is promotion, and getting the chance to do it at Wembley is enormous. To have that many fans in a stadium, to be able to make that journey down there, because, for Sheffield United, for Sunderland, this isn't a regular occurrence, especially with the stakes that we have here right now. So yeah, in some ways, I wouldn't call it a blessing, but I think it's very good at sort of making have a real singular focus on the real deal ahead. At the start of the season, the talk would have been promotion. Halfway through the season, we've been talking about winning titles. We've gone back to promotion being the most important thing, and by whatever means, if you get it, that is a successful season in the Championship. It's hoping to get a chance to play in the Premier League.
Vegas, no one is as Vegas is up. Go from playing from your home to playing from our home. Sign up now to BetMGM Casino. Play £10 and get 100 free spins.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Las Vegas.
BetMGM. If it ain't us, it ain't Vegas.
Minimum £10 spent. New customers only. Wagering requirements and conditions apply. 18+. Please gamble responsibly.
Car owners, you could be owed thousands in compensation. If you bought a car on finance from 2007 onwards, it may have been sold with hidden commissions. My Claim Group is working hard to help. So, even if you've forgotten your details, make sure you check. Text SPORT to 86688. My Claim Group is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. Text SPORT to 86688.
Who's made simple?
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker.
The Championship Playoff Final.
Live on TalkSport.
It's Wembley. We're pitch side for the Championship Playoff Final between Sunderland and Sheffield United. The Giants Playoff Trophy stands just behind Darren Bent, Ian Holloway and Mickey Gray with me as well. And we have the team news from your commentator, Sam Atterpace.
Sheffield United finished 14 points clear of Sunderland, but they have to beat them in a one-off playoff final game to gain promotion. In the last 20 years, the team finishing third has been promoted more often than any other. But Sheffield United have never achieved promotion via the playoffs. They have a clean bill of health. Femi Siriki is back on the bench after his shoulder issue. They make two changes, though, from the semi-final second leg. It's back to 4-2-3-1. O'Hare, who scored twice after coming off the bench, is still not ready to start or still not selected to start. Cannon and Brooks drop to the replacements bench. Joint top scorer Tyrese Campbell and Rhian Brewster both start. So Michael Cooper is the goalkeeper. The back four is Chowdhury, Agbahodzic, Robinson and Burrows. Then in midfield, it's Peck and Souza holding with Harmer in the 10. Brewster and Campbell either side of Kiefer Moore, who leads the line today for Sheffield United. What about Sunderland? Well, decides not to pair Mayenda and Isidore. Isidore's on the bench, and maybe that's because they want to get at the fullbacks, as you were talking about a little bit earlier on, Adrian. Romain Mundle starts for the first time since the 5th of April instead of Patrick Roberts in the wide positions. 13 goals for Isidore this season, but he hasn't scored one off the bench this campaign. I suppose now would be the best time to start being the super sub. They start with Patterson in goal. It's Trey Hume at right back. Ballard, who scored that dramatic winner in the playoff semi-final second leg. Luca 9 and Dennis Sirkin as the back four. Dan Neil and Joe Bellingham in midfield. Rigg in the 10, Lefay on the right-hand side, Mundo on the left. That might switch around as the game goes on. And Eliza Mayenda leading the line. We're underway at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Blimey, where to start with all that? Darren Bent, talk to me about Sheffield United's front line, because they've obviously got Kiefer Moore up there, who is, we know what type of striker he is, but he's not prolific. Rhian Brewster, Tyrese Campbell with him, and Gus Harmer just behind them. Has that got goals in it?
Certainly got a lot of creativity, and I think there are goals there. I think they all complement each other really well. I think Kiefer Moore, I think, is going to be vital in terms of how he holds the balls up, brings others into play. Tyrese Campbell's got a lovely left foot as well. He can create opportunities as well. And Rhian Brewster, I've always been a bit with Rhian because he almost had that good season at Swansea. And I expect him to be in a better place than he is now. So I'm not being disrespectful to him, but I think the attributes are there. I think he can finish. We've seen it for England youth level. He can finish. I'm yet to see him really explode on the major scene yet, but he's got an opportunity certainly today. But I like the way, and obviously with Taylor behind. I mean, he outbids him, obviously player of the year. Could create. I watched him a lot of commentary as well. He's gone to Sheffield United, just comfortable in possession, gets booked a lot, but creates chances, can score a goal as well. I think whatever Sheffield United do today going forward, I think he'll be at the heart of it.
And we were talking, Ian Holloway, about the fact that Wilson Isidore is on the bench, and you were talking about they might need a finisher, somebody to finish the job off. And then Sam comes out with the stat that he hasn't scored off the bench this season. Just adds that little bit more to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, there'll be a reason. The manager wanted him to start and the 11 on his bench, and maybe he didn't think he did well enough in the semis. I really don't know. But what I do know is these managers know exactly what they're doing, and there's a reason for it. And as I've come back in this season, I totally realise the game's totally different. You are allowed 5 subs. So those subs aren't subs, they are finishers. You have starters and you get your finishers coming off the bench who are not tired, who are going to go out there and going to make a difference. And I think that could be why he's there. Yeah, he hasn't scored there from the bench, but he knows what he's doing. I think today Sheffield United will go for it. I think they will. They've got 4 forwards. I think both fullbacks will be allowed to absolutely gallop on and get crosses in. So I'd be looking forward to this.
I'll ask you about that. When you're like in American football, you talk about how important the substitutes are.
It is for me.
Yeah.
we'd have been 20th if we wouldn't have had subs coming on and doing what we did at Swindon. And this was something that I said to them, stop moaning. How dare you? It's a privilege to get on the pitch, but I'm going to need you to finish. And it all came on and it happened. See, years ago we only had one sub. Now you can change 5 of your team, and do you know what? It's a good thing to be able to do it, you know? I believe the other night how Man United didn't change it earlier. Sometimes it's a fine line now, isn't it? Because you think you want to get up to a good start, so what you don't want to do is have to finish it on the bench and the game's gone. So, it's an all one surprises me, because I thought I would have started it just for the sheer pace. We saw him score a good goal in the semi-final. Keeper probably should have done better with it, but he still got into the right position, timed his run to perfection and finished it off. The size of the pitch here at Wembley, the way Sheffield United defend, it's not even a pass that gives it, it's just one of them where you just help it on behind, and if it gets in behind, you don't catch him. You don't think Mundo did so well when he came on, he lifted him when he needed that, so maybe he's rewarded that.
The reason why I asked that question to Ian, and I probably asked because Benty's here, we talk about rotation in the squad, Benty. If you got to a game like this, and your manager, you had a good season, the manager turns around to you and say, look, I know how important you are to us, but I'm going to put you on the bench. I think we'd all be unhappy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and you just sit there about the balance of, all right, okay, I'm doing it for the squad. Years gone by, if you'd have got left out, you'd be saying to your manager, I can't believe I'm on the bench, I want to leave, or I'm not happy, etc.
We don't know, do we? We don't know. We might be carrying something. We don't know.
Could possibly be. You talked about Patrick Roberts, and we just mentioned Romain Mundle being in the starting lineup. Can we talk about Mundle's sunglasses? Because after the semi-final,
you wound him up now.
After the semi-final, he's going to put some sunglasses on.
It's going so well, eh?
Living the life.
Hey, Duke killed him there.
Did he know there's still a game to go?
Look, I got a bit of stick, didn't I, on social media, and I think Talksport had me on about 3 or 4 times asking me why there was grumpy old Mickey Gray, but no, Adrian, there's a little thing that wound me up. He didn't start the game, and I think they only won the semi-final. Look, I'll wear a pair of sunglasses after the game if they win today. Absolutely, I hope all the players wear sunglasses, because it'll mean they've won, it's been a brilliant day. Semi-finals are great to win, and you celebrate, of course, but I think when you go that little bit too far with a pair of sunglasses, all them Sheffield players in Chris Wilder will see now and hang on a minute, it's little things, give them that little bit, and Ian knows better than anybody as being a manager. You go, right, you see what he did? It's just little things, and it wound me up a little bit. I'm not saying he's not a wonderful player, I think he's a real talent, but I just didn't like to see that was it.
Joe, I kind of agree with you there, because I can remember a couple of years ago I did a game, the semi-finals was Leeds-Derby. If you can remember, the second leg was at Leeds, and Derby got the job done, right? But I think they'd only won one half of football against Leeds out of the 3 or 4 times they played them. And I looked at the players after the game, and they all celebrated, taking selfies, and I did think to myself, well, hold on, you've got done yet. You've got to the final, and then lo and behold, they're collapsed in the final, and they don't go up. I just think at times, yes, you're delighted to get through the semi-finals, and it's a big occasion, but hold fire a little bit, because you're not, the job's not done yet.
That's absolutely true. I remember after the third leg away to Bristol City, Sheffield United won 3-0. Chris Wilder is getting all his players, applauding the fans briefly, because they try and supported them well, and then get back in the dressing room, your second leg, and then possibly a final.
I think Chris Wilder is probably the most underrated manager in the bloody world, in my opinion, because what he did first time round at Sheffield United, took him up twice, kept him up, right, and then they got ninth, I think it was, the season after that. The football they played, everybody had to look at it and say, we got to stop this. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he is fuming, and he feels that they failed, that they didn't go up automatically, so he is on them to make sure they do this. It's like a man on a mission.
Yeah, and they may well be motivated by Mundle's sunglasses. Could they even, Sheffield United, if they win, all put sunglasses on and celebrate on the pitch as they go up to the Royal Box?
Mickey, have you seen Mickey's?
Hey, no, Andrew, please don't. Oh,
He's gone too soon with it.
Yourself, yeah.
Celtic and Aberdeen at Hampden Park. Here's Talksport's David Tanner.
Having lost 19 goals to Celtic, the Tottenham loanee Alfie Dorrington, he was suspended last week after sent off against Celtic last week. It's happening against Celtic at Hampden Park, kick-off at 3 o'clock.
The summer of loving 3-day weekends and all things that sizzle. Like M&S Best Ever Cherrywood Smoked Pork Shoulder. Not just food. This is summer loving M&S food. Subject to availability, T's and C's apply.
If your client is not happy, resumed by his cost business insurance. Subject to already holding a relevant
Bordeaux fans, as so many French fans do when they have the opportunity to travel. I remember being so in a different way to have club teams here, because this is international rugby in club colours. We've got Paul Grayson, we've got Matt Dawson from the class of 2000 of the Northampton Saints with us. Paul, I know sometimes people might think it sounds a bit strange to ask former players before big games, oh, you know, are you feeling the nerves? But as you guys spelled out so perfectly in the first hour of this programme, with Northampton Saints, there is something different. There is something close and collective that past and present players feel.
Yeah, there is, and that sense of anticipation comes from the fact that, as we've heard from the Sam Besky piece, it's built on positivity. Everyone in an ideal world will say no fear, play free, clear mind, play on instinct. That's so hard to do, to be that. But that's the message they get all of the time, and what they do is they work their socks off to give themselves the technical ability to, in the moment, be able to be clear-headed and make really good decisions. They're a tight-knit group, most of which have grown up together through the academy system, as we've discussed. But on the field, that extra tenth of a second, if you can buy it by not quite a different thing.
Warm up beneath the Northampton Saints in their black shirts, Bordeaux away to the right-hand side, black jerseys with the maroon shoulder bands on them, Cardiff 25 final, massive in white letters. So as Matt Dawson, a major final, the biggest game for many players, this close to kick-off. What's going through your mind? How are you getting ready?
Let's just get to the kick-off is what's going through their mind. I mean, they're going through the motions and doing their passing drills, kicking drills, warming themselves up. They'll go in, of course, go into and through a few team patterns. But it very, very rarely did I ever find myself going full ball in the warm-up. It was more, getting my mind ready. Because there are going to be some, really tough moments. In finals, in big games, you've got to have clarity. And so, from both sides' perspective, their key decision makers have got to be really cool and calm today under all the pressure. Because finals are different. They are different to your run-of-the-mill season games. They are different to a semi-final for obvious reasons. This is about whatever it possibly takes to get your hands on that trophy. And from specifically from a Northampton perspective, there are a handful of lads there that are going on the Lions tour. The rest of the team, the Northampton team and the management, will be in their own little way saying, show us, why are you on that Lions tour? Give us every single reason to thank you for what you do, what you continue to do for this team, because it's going to need. There will be a moment. I guarantee we'll be talking about a moment or two during this game where individual players have got to step up, make big decisions, and produce. Whether it's a tackle, a pass, a kick, a break, whatever it is, you're going to need special individuals.
Let's talk about individuals then. Chris, how do they line up?
Well, the key thing for Northampton is that some of their injury doubts have pulled through. Now, what kind of shape Alex Coles is in, Curtis Langton is in, we're probably only going to find out come kick-off. But they took knocks against Saracens last weekend. And the Northampton coaches took the decision to basically play the first team last weekend in a game that didn't matter really when it comes to the league, because Saints are out of the top 4 race. But in order to build that momentum, it's a risk-reward strategy that could have cost them if Langton or Coles, for example, aren't at full strength. They don't have Wano Augustus, that's a big miss. So Coles goes to the back row alongside Josh Kennedy. Henry Pollock moves from 7, where he's most comfortable, to number 8. But the better news from a Saints point of view is that the back line has been bolstered by the returning George Burbank at fullback and Ollie Slightholm on the bench. As for
for Bordeaux. We touched on it on air earlier. La Patrouille de France, the Red Arrows of France, their backline, all French internationals. Crucially, Damien Penaud is fit. 38 French.
You can counter-attack quickly and you have to, but you cannot take your style into the Premier League these days and conquer them. It's impossible.
Well, I wonder if it is for making out. We've seen it 2 seasons have come up and established themselves. They're even going for Europe. Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, all established now in the Premier League. Have all been going for Europe. Brighton have been in Europe. Aston Villa came up 6 years ago via the playoffs, I'll remind you, and
keep going and they get the right kick and they get the right thing, and that comes down to at the end, are your centre forwards good enough, and is your defence good enough, and is your goalie good enough? And I'm going to go back to one of the best managers in the world, Brian Clough. If you ain't got a top class goalie, you're wasting your time. Do you know that saved you?
Do you know as well, when you look at the injury situation with Kieran McKenna, obviously inexperienced, there were so many moments this season where they were in the games and they probably should have had more points than they've got, but a little bit of experience, that naivety, where 90 plus 1 and you think you're right. Rather than go for the win, just sit back, we'll take the point and move on. I think too many times this season for Ipswich, they overcommitted the bodies defensively, didn't quite get the bodies back, and as Ian was saying there, you get in the Premier League, unfortunately, you make the slightest mistakes in both boxes, you either don't score or you can see the goal, and I think for Ipswich this season, that is obviously culminated in them getting relegated again this year.
Yeah, I think that was too big a step. They came up 2 years in a row and went, oh, that's just massive. Do you know what I mean? They just went straight through the championship, straight up. It's so difficult to do that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think the players believe where you are at the moment. You know, I mean, can you recruit the right amount of people? If you go down, I want to cut my contract, I want to get out. No one commits to you. Do you get what I mean? This is what these clubs have done with Palace when they went up. I didn't only lasted 8 games after that, but what they've done since, they went through a load of managers, but they've managed to consolidate and be attractive to players because of the way they play. And look what they've done, it's been amazing.
so of the teams, that one of these 2 teams here that are both warming up, Sunderland and Sheffield United, is going to go up. We know how Leeds played, they're already up, they won the title. And Burnley, that ultra defensive, clean sheet mentality, they went up and up. Does it look to you as if the 3 that go up are going to come straight back down again?
No, potentially, but out of the 3, I look at what Burnley are doing at defensive unit, and those easier said than done, but if you can find a couple that can put the ball in the back in there with that kind of defensive rock solid basis, they've got a fantastic goalkeeper in James Trafford, we know how good he is. If they could just find exactly, if we could find somebody that can put the ball in the net and then get goals from other areas, I give them the best chance at the first staying up.
I think Leeds are so underrated. I think their manager's done it so many times, and were the players good enough when he was at Norwich and they went up? I don't think they were. This Leeds side, when they tore Bristol City apart the other evening, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I hope they take that style. I hope Daniel gets a right run at it, and I believe they could have some spending power to help that top line to get them there. Do you know what I mean?
I wanted to ask you a quick one on Crystal Palace, very quick one, because I love their spine, their English spine. Henderson, Mark Gay, you've Wharton in midfield, they've won the FA Cup. You kind of started that by getting into the playoffs on the final day of the season, winning the playoffs, getting them into the Premier League. So how did you feel when they won the cup last week?
I'm still dancing, to be honest. I was so proud of them. I think the club is exactly right. It's players exude what the club's all about. It represents the people who live near the ground. It's wonderful. And Eze, I gave him his debut at QPR. What a wonderful fella. And the player he's turning into, that's all down to Palace. Well done to what you do, and well done to Oliver Glasser. I think
Because if you look at it's not how you start a season, it's how you finish. And look where they are. They could have sacked him. He didn't win for 8 games. So, whoa, hold on. Make sure the man fits what you're doing. And the way they play, I think oh my God, but he has been outstanding this season. Everybody, what about him? You know what? They go from back to front. That goal, the goal they won the cup with, is one of the best goals we've seen because they will go long off of that. They still had support and a great run. It was fantastic.
Well, that was last week, and then the Women's Cup final as well as another Wembley showpiece occasion today. Sheffield United take on Sunderland, and there's a couple of special guests. This side with TalkSport Alex Crook.
Yes, I'm here with the original little and large strike combination of Sunderland's past, Kevin Phillips and Niall Quinn. How are the nerves as we approach kick-off?
Obviously a bit worried, there's no doubt about that. I think my family said to me last night, will you stop and calm down? Like, I was just a bit jumpy and edgy. I hope the players aren't, but it's so big, the stakes are so high, and the occasion is going to be so great. It does lead to a bit of a wobble at this point, I think, for someone like me who can't play anymore. I wish they were still playing, but just hopes to God that the whole thing works out.
The stakes are massive, aren't they? They call this the £200 million game. As a player, if you're in that dressing room right now, how easy is it to forget about the financial rewards, forget about the fact you could be in the Premier League next year and just try and focus on the job in hand?
And that's what you have to do. The preparation is really key. They've had a long time to process it from the second leg, 10 days. So you'd like to think as individuals they've processed it, they've dreamt about what they needed to dream about. And now when you wake up this morning, you're focused on putting in a performance, doing your job as an individual and collectively remembering what you worked on during the week and implementing it out there, on the biggest stage. So there is, it is a high stakes game. There is a lot of pressure, but it's the team and it's the players that deal with that better and generally win the game.
These games are usually quite tight and tense, usually settled by the odd goal.
Unless closely, I think it'll be a very tight game. I think it'll be very cagey the first 20 minutes. They're trying to suss each other out. They both have their goal.
And a word on the manager, because I think it's fair to say not too many of us know too much of just the breed.
Methodic and the way he was talking about training and how they're doing things, and I can't really, didn't think we're going to get to where we were today, and what's been created, this season, how good the been run on the whole, and obviously he's the main man that everybody looks at for the guidance and what way is the whole thing going, and he's doing a great job.
And Niall, with your ex-chairman's hat on, how important is it to win this game in terms of keeping the squad together? Because we know there's a lot of interest already in Joe Bellingham, Dan Neil as well, Chris Rigg, linked with the likes of Manchester United. Do you fear if Sunderland don't go up, the squad could be decimated a bit?
I don't know if it will. It depends. You remember way back when we lost here and we all kind of came together and said, listen, none of us will go look for a move, we'll put it right next year. So that happened. We were lucky with a great squad that did that. It's different now. The agents control everything, so it's a worry. But also if you win, it's another worry. It's another big problem to have. Okay, you get all that money, but you've got to spend it wisely and strengthen the squad. So well done to the lads for getting up. We're going to bring 4 or 5 bigger, better players in, and that's when it gets a bit tricky. But having said that, which option I'd rather have the 200 million if I was the chairman of the club and have those problems than the problems of trying to get back up another day. And the other thing as well, it's not simple. Just look at Luton and what happened there in the last couple of years to show you that it's not a straightforward proposition. Load of money that makes us great. You have to spend it wisely.
Because obviously when you guys did get promoted at the second time of asking, you had a really good first season in the Premier League. Different from what's happened the last 2 years with the 3 teams who've gone up and come straight back down again. Do you think the gap is a chasm now compared to when you went up?
I think it is, yeah. What helped us back then was what Niall said, is we stuck together as a group, and that loss actually in that playoff final, believe it or not, was I think for the benefit of the club. It looked to me, I thought I was a bit mad, but I just felt we had a young squad like Sunderland have got here, and we benefited playing together another season in the Championship. We romped the league the following season. That sets up nicely for the Premier League, and like you say, we finished 7th for 2 seasons on the bounce. We added to the squad. We didn't add too many. We give the opportunity to the players that were there, and in terms of Sunderland now, they're a young team. If they do manage to get through today with a win, then yes, of course, they'll need to strengthen that squad. Players will move on. That's naturally what will happen. But it would be a struggle for them. Like Niall said, you can't just go out and bring in 10 players and just spend loads of money. It doesn't work like that anymore. We've seen that with teams over the years. So, but first and foremost, let's try and get there first.
Boys, thanks for joining us. All the best.
Quinn and Phillips, Sunderland legends, and 27 years after they played up front together here at Wembley in that 4-4 draw against Charlton. You're listening to the Championship Playoff Final on TalkSport with McDonald's. Order McDelivery on the app and get rewards points 18 plus. Participating restaurants, delivery fees and terms apply. See mcdonalds.com.
EFL Live on TalkSport with McDonald's. Enjoy a tasty night.
Chris, I was just looking beneath us here and looking around just to try and get a bit of a flavour of how many Saints jerseys can you see, how many Bordeaux jerseys can you see. I saw a load of purple jerseys just below it, so I sort of counted them. But then I realised they'd come from a rugby club in Cardiff, and it is worth saying, there are fans here from all over, including Leinster, who maybe bought their tickets a bit early.
I did say to one of the guys, if you're a Leinster fan, would you want to just go in a neutral colour? Not put your fair play there for their province, but there'll be a lot of Leinster fans here who would have bought their tickets.
SpreadX Sports brings you a world of betting with flexibility and precision at your fingertips. Sports betting across all devices that's data-driven with real-time analysis. Visit spreadx.com/DNA for our joining offers. SpreadX Sports, it's in our DNA. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
From the underworld of Guy Ritchie, Mobland. Name's Conrad Harrigan, family man. And if you cross my family, well, you'd better pray. The Paramount Plus original series. We fake the right hand, break the wrong one. Right now, I am in first gear. Would you like to see me shift to 6? Starring Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, and Helen Mirren.
We've got everyone where we want them.
Mobland. Stream exclusively on Paramount Plus. T&Cs apply. Subscription required. 18 plus.
Car owners, you could be owed thousands in compensation. If you bought a car on finance from 2007 onwards, it may have been sold with hidden commissions. My Claim Group is working hard to help. So, even if you've forgotten your details, make sure you check. Text SPORT to 86688. My Claim Group is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. Text SPORT to 86688.
What's your possible? The vision only you can make happen. Whatever the size of your business, accelerate your growth with the Intuit QuickBooks AI-powered platform. Power your possible with the #1 recommended cloud accounting software, Intuit QuickBooks. Based on a survey of 506 UK accounting professionals, verified QuickBooks.co.uk/.
Summer like you mean it with M&S this bank holiday weekend. You'll find the latest fashion in store for you and the family, including this season's must-have styles, as well as standout looks for that much-deserved holiday. So, head to your local M&S this bank holiday weekend. It's all waiting for you in store.
Captivating coverage.
What the heck? The Championship Playoff Final.
Live on TalkSport.
TalkSport Live at Wembley. We've left the high emotion pitch side where you're right in the thick of it to come up to our commentary box at the top of the first tier here at Wembley Stadium. Double Championship Playoff winner Ian Holloway, former Sunderland and England striker Darren Bennett, me, Adrian Durham, joined by Sam Matterface.
At Sheffield United, 2 changes for Cannon and more in the Championship final. For Sunderland, 2 changes from their second leg of their semi-final as well. The teams look like this. Michael Cooper is the Sheffield United goalkeeper. Chowdhury, Amahodzic, Robinson and Burrows the back 4. It's Sousa and Peck, the 2 holders in midfield, with Palmer in the 10. Brewster and Campbell supporting Kiefer Moore, who's got just 1 goal in his last 12 appearances, but is looking for his 3rd promotion in 4 years. As far as Sunderland are concerned, they start with Patterson in goal, Trey Hume is the right back, Ballardo 9, and Dennis Cirkin the back 4. Dan Neil and Joe Bellingham, the young Championship Player of the Year in midfield, with Lefay, Mundell and Rigg behind Mayenda in attack. Isidore, he's on the bench.
Sam, thanks very much. Well, Billy Sharp mentioned this man on TalkSport earlier as a potential match winner. Brazilian-born 27-year-old Kusama grew up in Holland, signed for Coventry in 2020, had to go off injured as Cov lost the playoff final 2 seasons ago here, and moved to Sheffield United. His Premier League numbers in a relegated side weren't terrible, 4 goals, 7 assists. This season he's shown a love of the ball. Fans appreciate he's got skills to die for, spectacular goals, and he was voted by his peers as Championship Player of the Season.
season. 31 tries in 27 matches. Record-breaking 8 tries in a single Six Nations campaign. Since then, 19 tries in 14 matches. There's a great line, Matt Dawson, from Mike Henson in his piece on the BBC Sport website on BLBRE. A blue and red blur in the most purple of patches.
I don't think you could describe that really better. That's fantastic, Michael. He has lit up global rugby, never mind club, European, Six Nations. You know, the world is watching this lad every single time he gets the ball. You will notice on this commentary that Chris Jones's voice will just nip up an octave when he gets the ball, when BLBB gets his hands on the ball in any kind of space, because one-on-one, you got no chance. I mean, it's sort of a little bit Jason Robinson-esque back in the day. One-on-one, he is electric. He's going to run around you in that 5 metre channel if you give him any kind of space. So when you've got those star players, it does make a significant difference. But saying that, Northampton have got their star player as well in Henry Pollock, and I'm sure Bordeaux are watching Henry Pollock as much as the Saints are watching BLBRE. And that's all goes. Freeman against BLBRE, a fascinating one, but reading Mike's report on the BBC website, that just the insight into the fact that BLBRE was small, he wasn't particularly quick, he learned his rugby as a fly half, so he learned the skills first, and then the pace came when he matured, 17 years old, suddenly posted some numbers that made the Grenoble coach go, I'm obligated to report how quick this lad is to the national team. Within 18 months, he's a fully fledged international, but his basis is in understanding the game, understanding space, and having the skills of a fly half. But now, the absolute jet shoes are probably the quickest winger in the world.
And worth just marking what Tommy Freeman has done this season. First Englishman in history to score a try in every Six Nations game. A hat-trick before half-time in this Eva Stadium. Everything he is touching is turning to gold at the moment. And I do wonder, as amazing as BLBRE is, and Northampton cannot afford to give him space and time, but Freeman is regal in the air. He's one of the best aerial wingers in the game, and I wonder if they'll try and pick a few balls up on BLBRE and take them in that area as the lights go off. We're minutes away, aren't we?
Yeah, we're getting very, very close indeed. We have got 7 minutes to kick off here inside the Principality Stadium. Here comes the guest of honour this afternoon, the Champions Cup, which is being held now just in front of the tunnel and placed on a plinth, and the flash bulbs going off just make it shimmer that little bit more. With the stadium roof closed, I'm pretty sure we're on for a big old light show, and there you go, there are the flames. Goodness me, even from up here in the gods of the Principality, feel the heat of those big flames as they go off. The big screens up to the left, up to the right, say 30 years of extraordinary, the history of this great competition. They're running through some of the winners, some of the big finals. They might go through all of them because they've just started now around the stadium with the fireworks, printing the names of some of the teams of this great competition, of the great winners over the years. There's Northampton Saints 2000. That's the roar for the team of Paul Grayson, and for the team of Matt Dawson. It morphs shades of green now into Leicester Tigers. Stereophonics blare out over the big speakers. I'll tell you what, performance and cocktails. That was their famous album, and that's what you've got to do today. You get the celebration after you put everything into a massive occasion. We've got lasers as well now. There'll be laser focus inside those dressing rooms. I'm just peeking down the tunnel, and the players are starting to emerge there. Chris, this feels big.
And how good is it to see 2 new teams at this stage of the competition? You know, Toulouse, Leinster, COVID, financial problems. Couldn't English team get to this stage? Well, Northampton has shown it can be done. And Bordeaux might too much. There's another cheer as another Leinster at the pitch
here. There's Stade Rochelet in the bright yellow next to the names to show how many times they've won the great trophy. Well, for Bordeaux, a better stage for the Champions Cup final. More fireworks, more flashbulbs, more colour for a contest that almost doesn't need it. On paper, in practice, in Cardiff, this is going to be some final. Northampton Saints, Bordeaux, Matt Dawson, Paul Grayson, and correspondent Chris Jones.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Well, this is special, isn't it? The biggest day in club rugby union. The biggest day in club rugby union. And here come the players. Northampton led out by Fraser Dingwall. What a season he's having, Dingwall. A leader for Cobb that knits it all together in the Northampton back line. And Bordeaux led out by their talismanic number 9. We say that a lot about French scrum half. Maxime Luku. Northampton in their green, black and gold. Bordeaux in their kind of shades of purple. Luku just claps and catches the eye of a few Bordeaux fans down beneath us. And you guys, Matt Dawson, Paul Grayson, were part of a World Cup winning squad, but also a Heineken Cup winning squad in 2000. Got to be something different, Grace, about doing it with your mates that you rub shoulders with day in, day out.
And all those people that you see in Sainsbury's on a Sunday, whether you've won or lost, you pop in to get